Continuing now with our lead story, the Obama administration being hammered by the financial press and the dismal economy. The question, is the president's liberal view of economics making the situation worse, as Neil Cavuto says? With us now, Fox News analyst and Obama supporter, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. Now, well, first of all, do you own stocks?
Yeah,
do you?
absolutely.
You have these 401ks and everything?
All that stuff. I'm a little scared, you know.
Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, long term, I think I'll be okay, but right now, there's plenty of reason to be scared.
Now, Neil says that there's a clear message. The street has no confidence in Barack Obama at this juncture. You agree?
I think there's declining confidence. I mean, I think you see ebbs and flows all the time, and I think some of these short-term indicators are unreliable. I mean, I think it's easy to get in panic mode and say, oh, my God, the market dropped.
But in 7 weeks, though.
No, but there have been spikes as well.
12% down in 7, that's big.
No, I mean, right now, his policies are being perceived as anti-business. They're being perceived as hard on the rich. And so short-term, you'll see that. But I'm saying long-term, people will see growth and people will be optimistic.
Okay, but that's your hope. There's nothing to back that up. See, here's what worries me. Take the politics out of it. Take conservative, liberal out of it. It's a gamble. It's a $20 trillion gamble because it may not work. And if you spend $20 trillion, all right, he's in for 4. He's not going to be able to spend all that, but he could spend close to it.
Right.
Right. You could bankrupt the country.
Again, that's that hyperbole disguise.
No, but it's possible. It's certainly possible.
But you're talking about gamble as if there were an alternative. Right now, the entire nation is in financial crisis. We all agree on that.
The alternative is let the market work its way out of it.
The market has never worked its way out without some sort of intervention. Right now, we had to intervene. We had to save banks. We have to save the automotive industry. GM's not going to get any more money. That's it. $13 billion. Actually, I have no sympathy for GM because they snubbed their nose to the general public for decades. However,
how did they do that?
They refused to raise energy efficiency or fuel efficiency standards. They never tried to make more fuel-efficient cars and the SUV stuff. I mean, they didn't care about us.
Well, I just don't know enough about the automotive industry to know why Ford is doing okay and GM isn't. I just don't know.
They're not doing okay.
Ford didn't take any bailout money at all, and then they're paying down their debt. So in this climate, they're doing okay.
They're swapping debt for equity.
Okay, but that's okay. They're not taking our money. If that's a strategy they think can make them prosperous in the future, let them try.
That can't work. You're swapping debt for equity in an industry that's crumbling. So what does it mean to have shares in a company that's worthless?
Listen, I'm not promoting Ford. I'm just saying they do what they do. They're not impacting me and my family.
Though.
No, they're not taking any of my money.
Ultimately, they will when they have mass unemployment.
Ultimately, then I'll get on them. But right now, they're okay.
But that's what we have to think long-term and short-term. That's what makes Obama's stimulus package so interesting.
Speculation. Now, earlier this week, we were discussing Nancy Pelosi, and you saw the show, and Barack Obama, and some people believe that there's tension. Newsweek magazine wrote about it, and some people believe it's a ruse, that Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi are pretty much ideological soulmates. How do you see it?
They're not ideological soulmates. I wish they were. In fact, to be quite honest, I wish Nancy were a little closer to me on the left. The reality here...
You're more left than Nancy.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm unabashed about that. I mean,
you're an honest guy. That's why you're sitting here.
Absolutely, but I mean, Nancy Pelosi, if you remember, had some resistance to the stimulus package. Remember, I'll give you one example. The difference between the House stimulus proposed bill and the Senate one was education reform and more money for schools, more discretionary money for states. Nancy Pelosi was teed off because they took away money.
Sure, she wanted a bigger spending, more spending.
That's exactly right. Obama didn't. So Obama is much more fiscally conservative than Nancy Pelosi is.
Okay, but all right, and that's... I just don't know what the degree is. Now, are you a socialist, an outright socialist?
I believe...
Would you take my house?
I would
give
never
it to somebody else?
I would never do that, Bill.
No property?
I would never do
that. But when I die, you'd come in for almost everything, right?
I think the people deserve, the fruits of your labor as well. But I think you deserve.
Wait. You just said the people deserve the fruits of my labor. You believe that?
In terms of taxes, I'm not saying that your hard work should be rewarded in the form of other people.
But do you believe in seizing property from the affluent, which is basically what Barack Obama is heading toward?
Well, two things. No, I don't believe that, and two, I don't think Barack Obama believes that either. There's nothing in his policy to suggest that he wants to seize.
Taxation is that way, though. 65% of a person's paycheck, that's pretty much seizing their assets.
Right now, or even for maybe 2 decades, except a little bit under Clinton, the rich were let off the hook. And so now we have to...
I don't know. I'm rich, and I wasn't always, but I am now, and I paid a lot of taxes over the years.
You absolutely have paid a lot of taxes, but most people have not paid enough. The Bush tax cuts were absolutely insufficient.
Who makes the moral judgment of what's enough?
But it's not purely a moral judgment, because I don't want to suggest that you're immoral because of your stance on taxes. What I would say, though, is that if the people at the bottom are not getting enough, if social programs are not being supported, then we need more people at the top to carry their burden. But
this country is in record debt because of our social programs, because of our entitlement spending.
That is the biggest urban legend I've ever heard. I mean,
Medicare and Medicaid take most of the money.
I thought you were going in the Barney Frank direction. Okay, if you're talking
that's the entitlement spending that's bankrupting the nation. nation.
And that's just not true.
That's the stats.
No, those are not the stats.
From the GAO, they're the stats.
That's absolutely not true. Again, when you look, let's talk about this for a second. No, for the last maybe 6 months, you guys have been blaming Barney Frank and Community Reinvestment Acts and all this stuff, saying that giving houses to poor people who didn't deserve them has crumbled the nation. And none of that is true. Most of the corporations that gave money to poor people and for community reinvestment weren't obligated to do so at all. They had portfolios less than $1 billion.
No,
they did it because they were greedy.
Frank for that. I was on Frank for being dishonest about the shape that the government lending institutions were in. That's what I was on him for, and he was. All right, always interesting to talk to you.
Always fun. And I can't wait to get that house.
Mr. Fidel, Mr. Raul. And all wrapped up into one, ladies and gentlemen, right here. You don't have to go to China. Here he is. Marc Lamont, everybody.